warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First thing first, let me introduce myself. My name is Mardewi from Class 8 English Education Batch 2022. Today, I'm going to present or giving my summary of the material that I had studied from the first week to the 7th week. And yeah, I do this part to fulfill my mid assignment from Mr. Adi Isma as my lecturer at language testing course. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first week or the first meeting. The first lecture was held together with all students from every batches in the English Education Department. During this meeting, the general mechanism of the 2025 academic activities was discussed, including the general rules and regulations that apply to all students. In addition, there was information about the assessment system that will be used throughout the lectures. Other topics presented in this first meeting included the Campus Merdeka programs, such as Students Exchange, the Indonesian International Student Mobility Awards or IISMA, and certified internships. Each of these programs was explained in detail, including the activities involved. Another important point discussed was the process of grade conversion for students who participate in those programs. Furthermore, it also discussed a task that will be taken by final year students of the English education program as a graduation requirement. The test is called APTIC. It's an English language test given to students with the purpose of measuring their overall English proficiency. This test is quite similar to the TOEFL test, but the difference lies in the name, which was chosen to avoid being considered a copy of another product. There may also be some slight differences in the content and structure of the test, which are only known by the lecturers in the English education program. At the end of the first lecture session, there was an announcement of the best student of 2025, and the award was given to Mardewi, a 6th semester student from the 2022 batch. Next, the second week or the second meeting. In the second meeting, the lecture was conducted offline by the lecturer of the language testing course. During this meeting, the focus was on introductions, such as introducing the lecturer and the students. After that, the lecturer explained the rules and the specific assessment methods that will be applied in this course. In addition, the lecturer also presented the learning materials that will be covered throughout the semester. The lecture activities will mostly involve discussions and presentations. Therefore, before starting the main materials, the lecturer divided the students into several large groups to make the learning process, material comprehension, and assessment easier. So before ending the class, the lecturer gave a few initial questions related to the course. Okay, in the third meeting or in the third week, the topic is about assessment concepts and issues. Assessments is the process of evaluating students' abilities in a subject as a whole. Assessment includes various evaluation methods, including testing. Testing is a part of assessment that focuses more on measuring students' abilities using tests or exams, with results presented in the form of scores or grades. There are several types of language tests, and this becomes new knowledge that I have learned. Some of them include achievement, diagnostic, placement, proficiency, and aptitude test. As time goes on, language assessment has shifted from a structuralist approach to communicative language testing, which focuses on the ability to communicate in real-life context. The use of performance-based assessment, technology, and dynamic assessment has also become more prominent, allowing for more flexible and reflective assessments that meet the needs of learners. Next, the fourth week or the fourth meeting. The topic is about principles of language assessment. From this material, I understand that assessment in language learning is not just about giving tests and grades, but it must also be well designed to truly reflect students' abilities. There are 5 main principles that should be considered. They are practicality, reliability, validity, authenticity, and WESPAC, the impact of the test. A good test should be easy to administer, provide consistent results, accurately measure the intended skills, resemble real-life language use, and have a positive impact on students' learning process. If a test only makes students focus on memorizing without understanding the concepts, then the test is less effective and doesn't support the development of real language skills. I also realized that tests that are too difficult or unrealistic can be challenging for both teachers, and students. Therefore, it's important to find a balance between practicality and positive pushback so that the test is not only easy to manage but also helps students grow. As teachers or test developers, we must ensure that tests are not just tools for evaluation but also become part of the learning process that encourages deeper understanding. In conclusion, effective language assessment should consider all these principles so that it doesn't only produce accurate scores but also encourages students to truly understand and use the language well in real life situations. Next, the fifth week or the fifth meeting. The topic is about designing classroom language test. Designing a language test is a complex and systematic process that not only aims to assess students' abilities but also improve their learning. An effective test should have a clear purpose, be valid and reliable, and be designed with specifications that match the language skills being tested, such as reading, writing, speaking, and listening. In the process of test development, each question must be carefully constructed to truly measure the targeted language aspect. Essay questions should allow students the freedom to express their ideas while still having clear guidelines. Listening and speaking questions should reflect real-life communication situations. In addition, when creating multiple choice questions, it's important to ensure that there is only one correct answer with no ambiguity and that the structures should be logical and not misleading. Furthermore, I realized that tests are not just evaluation tools, but they can also serve as a learning tools that help students understand their strengths and weakness. I understand the importance of giving constructive feedback so that test results aren't just numbers, but also serve as a guide for students to improve them. In addition, student psychological factors should also be considered as a supportive test environment can affect their performance. So, with proper test design, teachers can create assessments that are not only fair and objective but also have a positive impact on the overall development of students' language skills. Next, the sixth week or the sixth meeting. The topic is about standards-based assessment. Standards-based assessment aims to ensure that each student is evaluated based on predetermined competences rather than being compared to other students. This type of assessment helps to measure students' understanding more objectively and provides a clear feedback to improve their skills. In addition, standards-based education offers a more structured direction in the learning process, ensuring that teachers deliver material according to the established standards. However, challenges in its implementation include potential bias in testing, excessive pressure from an exam-focused system, and difficulties in designing evaluation methods that truly reflect students' real-world competencies. Furthermore, I also realized that the standards-based approach is not only applied in academic exams, but also in the professional world through certifications such as TOEFL, IELTS, CPA, and other skills-based certifications. In addition, the concept of test bias has opened my eyes to the fact that although standardized tests aim to create objective evaluations, there are often disparities that disadvantage certain groups of students. Therefore, it's important for educators and policymakers to continue developing more inclusive and evidence-based assessment systems to more accurately and fairly reflect in individual abilities. The last is the seventh week. The topic is about standardized testing. Standardized tests in language assessment are structured and systematic methods that used to measure language ability with a high level of reliability and validity. These tests provide an objective way to evaluate a large number of participants efficiently. But they also have limitations, such as the possibility of bias and their inability to fully assess real-life communication skills. One thing that I learned is the step-by-step process in developing a standardized test. This includes defining the purpose, designing test specifications, creating test items, evaluating item effectiveness, determining scoring procedures, and continuously validating the test to ensure its accuracy. This process helps maintain fairness and consistency in the test results. I also understand that although standardized tests are widely used for academic and professional purposes, they are not always the best way to measure a person's language ability in real life situations. Alternative assessments, such as performance-based tasks or interviews, can be used to complement standardized tests to provide more comprehensive evaluation results. So overall, this material helped me understand both the strengths and weakness of standardized tests, as well as the importance of balancing objective measurement with real-world language use. So I think that's all my summary about the whole topics. Apologize me if I have mistakes. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.